thank you card from a lady whose rent we helped to pay.
Oh,
we never get thank you cards.
Well, she appreciated it.
She did appreciate it. She's headed straight for the middle class.
So June 20th, you'll be here 2 years.
June 20th is my wedding anniversary, and I will have been here for 2 years.
Holy moly.
And I'm still alive.
And you're still alive.
And smiling.
Yes.
I'm still talking to you.
Yeah, I can push people the wrong way.
You have your personality quirks.
Yeah, right. I call it being idiosyncratic.
Sure.
Yeah.
How many people do you think can spell that?
I don't even know what it means. But I won't even go into my issues. I want you to tell me, so 2 years, most people in your position in this institution, in this city, are gone after 2 years.
Yep.
And that's why, at least from my observation, Salvation Army in the city of Roanoke probably is the most righteous organization to deal with the safety net. Because,
that's very kind of you.
Well, you've been around forever.
1887 we've been here.
Right. And you're pretty well endowed, so you're not really having to grub like Goodwill and all those other...
I think we just know how to rub nickels better than everybody else because we're used to it.
Right. And you don't make... Like the guys at the mission, they have to, bow to Jesus to get their bologna sandwich.
Yeah.
You just take care of the need.
Yep.
Right.
We love Jesus, but we love people.
Right.
We believe Jesus loved people.
And you don't have to amortize people's suffering to get money, like Goodwill and TAP and HAT and all those guys. But we're getting into a very strange time because the tax laws have changed. So those guys may not even exist anymore.
Yeah.
And yet they seem to not even realize this.
Some of them, I think, realize it. But I don't...
Like what's happening with the mission?
There's just a lack of long-term planning.
Or a consciousness.
Well, yeah. Just like people who are in poverty, it's crisis to crisis, moment to moment. And a lot of nonprofits are run similarly.
Yeah, but they make sure they get their paycheck.
Hopefully. You gotta make payroll.
Well, I mean, when we wanted to get your food truck to feed the homeless, and all those guys left to it and said, "Oh, we can't do that." What? You can't feed the homeless, and you're the homeless action team? Come on.
That's why I have the little Lego guy.
Oh.
And when it's really rough, I talk to the little And if it's one of those really hard days, he just might talk back.
He might talk back, yeah.
Now, my boys love these little Lego guys.
Well, I can understand that.
I feel like
Yes. You need an alter ego. Mm-hmm. So give me a little piece of what you see going on, what your everyday is like, how you... What
You asked that on a bad day, Al.
Good. No, that's the best day to ask it.
Okay, so an average day.
Okay.
An average day for the captain of the Salvation Army.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll run you through today.
Okay, today.
Okay, so I dropped my boys off at their day camp and at school at 7:30. From there, I went straight to Turning Point, which is our domestic violence, sexual assault, and anti-human trafficking shelter. Because I've been out of town a couple days for a conference with the Department of Criminal Justice, so I haven't had a chance to check in. So I stopped by there for about an hour and a half or so, just to check in and see what's been going on while I've been gone, and to see how the ladies are doing and what they need. And the census is up right now, which generally, once school gets out, mamas who are waiting to leave with their babies, that's generally when they do it. So they're a little full over there right now. So I checked on them. They're out of bus passes, and the HAT team is out of bus passes, and TAP is out of bus passes. So the question is, what are we going to do about bus passes? To which I say we have a vehicle and we have a case manager, so drive somebody somewhere if they need to get there. But anyway, so that was the big situation. So from there, I came over here, where I got bombarded by about 5 different people for about 5 different things we have going on, dealing with an HR issue, and then we're opening a new program down in the community center. And so I had to go down there, and we're having a plumbing issue down there, which...
In this building?
In this building, down below the gym, which reminds me I didn't call the plumber. So we did that, and then I led Bible study, where the Bible study group on Thursday mornings, normally I don't lead it, I was filling in today, pinch-hitting for Becky, who's on vacation. They've been studying Ephesians. So I led Bible study for an hour. And
so when you do that, how do you make it... connect to their lives?
Well, I mean, we can walk around there. You can see what's on the chalkboard and on the whiteboard. So what I did for today is I pulled out some keywords in the first couple chapters of Ephesians, and I wrote them up on the board in all different directions to show that like it's a web, and I showed how that scripture teaches that we're all family, that we're all connected, that we have an inheritance, that we're adopted, and when we do these things, we have peace, we have wisdom, there's reconciliation, there's forgiveness, on and on it goes, and it describes it as the mystery.
And that's what being a human being is about. Right,
that's what being a Christian is about. And so we talked about that, and I said, which of these things up there do you struggle with most in your life personally? And the different people in the group picked out different things: forgiveness, peace. One person has a lot of trouble sleeping, so they were talking about the lack of peace and that kind of thing, and they're struggling with addiction, so that was woven in there. And I said, why do these things lack? Why are these things lacking in us and in our community? And then that's what the whiteboard was for, so I wrote the responses to those. So we don't have these things because we live in fear, because we have anger, because there's deceit and pride, and on it goes. And so we went through some real-life situations, as well as situations that the church in Ephesus was experiencing when the book of Ephesians was written by Paul, to show that when we carry around anger and deceit and those kinds of things, it stops us from being able to live with the things that were on the board that are all connected. So if we carry around anger, we're not going to have peace in our lives. And I just showed how they're all connected in kind of a visual way. So that went really well. So I did that. And then actually had lunch at Red Robin. But there were about 15 of us, which is beautiful because our lieutenant has been farewell to Atlanta. And Sunday is his last day. So the employees here in this building, we all went to lunch together, which was nice. And I ate way too much. Yeah.
I'm living in the woods, and there are these things that look like lettuce that I just clip, and they haven't killed me yet, and
nice.
It's been 2 months, so that's pretty much what I'm...
Dysentery and the whole bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So I did that, which was really nice, just to have lunch with some employees in a relaxed way, where I don't have to be the boss, even though I was at the center.
How's your... So the girl from Roanoke College is now, she's running the... What is she doing?
Which one from Roanoke College? We had an intern who finished. We had... You're talking about the one from Hollins?
No, Roanoke College. But that was... Because I met her... A friend of mine is an artist, and he did this...
Surprising. You have a friend who's an artist.
Yeah. But he's from Texas, and he's done this really interesting program where he drove all over America, and you know how homeless guys on the side of the road have signs?
Yeah, I think you told me about that.
Yeah, he'd buy them for $20.
Yep.
And then he did shows around the country.
What's that one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so he did a show at Roanoke, and he said, hey, you should come to this because I know you'll totally piss everyone off. And so I was very nice and quiet.
I remember, you told me about this, yeah.
And then towards the end, I said to the people who were all these people who worked for Hat and Tap and administrators of this and that, for the homeless, I said, I got up and I turned, instead of asking him a question, I said, so I want to ask the audience a question. I know most of you guys are administrators because I'm just looking at the clothes you wear. And they were like, and I said, if you had tomorrow to choose whether to end homelessness and poverty and give up your job, or keep your job and have homelessness and poverty, what would you do?
Well, that's a problem we have with nonprofits in general.
Yeah.
We should be working to put ourselves out of business.
Exactly. And boy, do they get pissed.
About, saving the skin on our own backs.
Exactly.
I get that very,
So how do you deal with that question?
How do I deal with the question?
Not you, but I mean the administrator. I mean, because you're swimming through all of these organizations every day. I mean, your best part of the day that you've just described to me was doing Bible studies.
Yeah, and that's not something that I get to do every day.
Right.
And it's something I should.
You should.
I should get to do more often.
I deal with a lot of, or I dealt. I'm now in the woods, being St. Paul, because I'm out in the middle of the Forest Service, and you can't believe how many homeless people they've. Hey, there's this guy out there, and he'll talk to you, and And so I'm like the shrink in the woods. I mean, 20 people a day come looking for me out there in the middle of the national forest. And
do you like the complex?
No.
To help inflate your ego?
No.
Does it just make you like depressed?
No, it's like company. It's like I enjoy the company.
You're like, I'm sorry, it's my turn to talk to the tree now. You have to wait till your scheduled appointment time while I eat this lettuce.
No. No. If they can sit on the ground, it's fine. And they normally are very nice. They, give me something, a chocolate bar that I give.
Communal.
Right. And most of the stuff people give me, I give to somebody else because I can't eat the crap they're giving me. So I don't say, I can't eat that crap. So thank you very much, and give it to somebody else who wants that chocolate bar. But, there you are swimming amongst all of the bureaucratic guys. You go to all these meetings with all this stuff.
I do. And I think some of them are well-meaning and well-intentioned.
But how can they ignore what's right in front of them?
Some of them I don't think see what's right in front of them. For whatever reason, either they don't want to see it, or they are truly ignorant as to what's happening. And I would put myself in that category for certain situations. Because there are certain situations that happen how people struggle, like truly struggle, and I honestly don't know. And if I don't know because I haven't touched or experienced it, the Salvation Army can't help with it.
Right.
And so, we do a couple of things to try and combat that. But I think some people, they just simply don't know. I think some people come into this work with a mindset that they know what's best and that they know what's right. And I don't know how many meetings I go to, and I'm just like, well, let's ask the people we're privileged to serve what they think, what they need, what they want, what their dreams and desires are. And that's always like, oh yeah, we should ask the people who are doing this. Like, I don't understand why that's so groundbreaking,
right.
But people we're honored to serve, we should ask.
Right.
I believe they want to be heard, and so anyway, so that's my philosophy. But I think a lot of people, they're just,
they run by the book.
They run by the book. They're not taking care of themselves personally, their own self-care, so they've got compassion fatigue and burnout, and they're stressed, and life is happening. And so they want to be do-gooders.
But they can't.
At the core of who they are, but they can't.
There was a girl over at Hat who I went over. Phil sent me, you first got to start there and go through that. And I went through that. And when I see the kind of, I couldn't believe it anyway, so I finally got to speak to someone, and I just kind of spoke her truth, and she started to cry.
Yeah, no.
Because I broke through her.
Yeah, you're not the first one to do that to that young woman.
Yeah, and I would believe that she's not there anymore, because I was looking at her going, boy.
She's still there.
She's still there. Oh, that's not good, because she could just get.
Yeah, she's burnt out.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the problem, and the bigger problem is, everyone thinks, oh, the economy's great. It's worse than ever.
Roanoke's a hard town.
Right. But it's the...
Roanoke, my husband says, the poverty rate hasn't really moved or budged at all in like 50 years.
Right.
Yet we're quick to go, whose fault is that? Well, it's the poor person's fault. Well, how about it's the people helping the poor people? Because clearly they haven't done anything right if it's 50 years later and we're in the same situation.
And there's so many organizations here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of help available. I don't think it's the right help, and I don't think organizations and agencies and do-gooders generally know how to talk to one another and how to collaborate.
And how to monetize their, all the money that goes into this web was really utilized in the right way, there'd be no problem. Yeah,
but what would we do if there was no problem?
That's the problem. I mean, that little audience at Roanoke College, I said, so kids, would you?
Yeah.
And they got mad at me.
Yeah.
I mean, they ran me out on the rail. And,
sure, you're
socialist. And my friend who said, stir it up here, the guy who had the art show, we had dinner later, and he was laughing. He goes, I'm sure happier that you were there to do that rather than me having to do it.
Yep.
I could go out and people could tell me what a great guy he was.
Yeah. And so,
and I got a good sense of humor, so I can do stuff like that.
Yeah, you're also crazy, which helps.
Yes. Well, again, idiosyncratic.
But I can't spell that.
Crazy is too harsh of a psychotherapeutic
We give it
definition.
We also give it too much power.
Right, and it has no power at all because we live in
we do.
a crazy world. I mean, how can you
stuff.
expect people not to be nuts?
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And everyone is nuts. I mean, you're nuts, that's for sure.
I have an interesting personality.
Yes, you're idiosyncratic. Okay, so you're here 2 years, and you've made it past where most people... And the thing I've observed over 18 years of watching Salvation Army is that a new person like you, the captain, would come in and revamp the whole staff and blah, 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 and go through all kinds of HR, blah, blah, blah. And then they'd quit, and then somebody new, and so...
Well, they get moved in and out.
Right.
So, like, I mean, they can't see this, but the wall behind us in the hallway has a picture of all the officers.
Yeah.
Which we jokingly call the wall of shame. But I believe you do have some people on that wall who are well-meaning.
Right. I'm sure they all were well-meaning.
Yeah, so what happens in that they get so tired and stressed out and burn out and need to get out of town.
Right.
And they don't take care of themselves.
So that's why you should actually go into the woods like I mean, I'm not stressed out at all. You know, I live right next to a gigantic waterfall.
Yeah, you were telling me about that with your chair in there.
Yep.
We got a tent in the backyard.
Oh, that's close. That's close.
My 6-year-old likes to sleep out there. So.
Well, it's like when I saw Tim's house over there, and
the Stewart one.
Yeah, so as soon as he did that, you know, he doesn't have enough slave labor to finish it up.
I know, 'cause I got somebody who wants to buy it. But.
Good. Go get, you know, say, hey, right.
Yeah.
But the real funny thing was the real estate guy who bought 3 or 4 of those houses that were really totally trash, and he just cleaned the garbage out, sandblasted the place, put in about $20,000 of crappy this and crappy that, and then sold it to the hipsters coming to work for Carillion, who came from San Francisco. And so I went to the open house, and this guy walks in and buys it right there. It was like $48,000 or something.
That's what my people do.
Right. and his wife is, this is such a cute little house. In San Francisco, it'd be $4 million. And I said, honey, this ain't San Francisco, and let me take you out to your backyard. So I walked out there. See that? They sell crack in that house. I was like pretending to be Mr. Rogers, the neighborhood. And she was like, what?
Our crack house across the street.
That's what I'm saying. It was like that.
Well, the one right there, it's been super quiet this summer because nobody's in there. I'm surprised nobody's in there. So they closed down and then condemned the house and the whole bit.
Right. The one with the blue tarp over it?
No. They're doing work on that. You can check it out. I'm talking about on this side, right the corner across from the Metropolitan Church.
So my observation...
But the 2 meth labs, they're still going.
They're still going?
Yeah, that one and that one.
So, and you know the cops, so I know the cops real well, and you know what's really strange? Only within the political structure of this city, the only people who actually have a grip on what's going on is the cops, right? And they want to do something, but they're kept from doing it.
Yeah.
You know, they had a DEA, everybody together to go after go for it. This was about 3 years ago. And they got all the evidence and everything, and then the plug was pulled just before they made the arrests.
Interesting.
And they picked up a few street people, but not the people they wanted to go for.
Yep.
And it still goes on.
The street guys get picked on.
Yeah.
It's low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit. So I've been here 20 years, being the demographer I am, this is the microcosm of America. Everything that's going on in America, good, bad, and ugly, is right here.
Yeah, it's a good representation, I think, in all the places I've lived.
Right. It's not a cracker town like Lynchburg or Bedford or... Oh, man, here's a great story. I got really sick, got really bad infection.
You called me.
Right.
You called me after you were out of the hospital, when you were safely, hiding in your... bunker.
Right.
By bunker, I mean no heat, no electricity.
Right, my bunker. It is. But, hey, buddy, go sit with your mom. And so...
I don't want to be in.
You don't want to be on the show? Okay. And anyway, so there was this nurse who was totally inept. And she came from LU. And she put... I'm getting intravenous antibiotics in this arm. And she puts the blood pressure cuff over it. At the point of entry, and then
so like an RN.
Yes, and she hits the button, and it started, and I look at it, what are you, nuts? And I pull the hoses out so it deflates, and I throw it at her, and she goes, you can't do it to me. Anyway, she ran away, and the head doctor there comes over and goes, I've been wanting to do that for weeks. Because I was like hitting her with the hose. And she goes, we have all these LU nurses, and we can't get rid of them because someone on our board is on their board. And the only way those girls can get a job is by doing that. So it's like, and that's healthcare.
Yep.
It's like, off to the races.
Sit on my lap?
No.
Want to be there and be shy?
Yeah. You don't want to be on. But, I mean, that's, again, and the only way I went in there, nobody even looked at me. My leg was the size of a basketball. It wasn't until I drove up the...
How long have you been doing that, Mama?
We've been talking a couple minutes.
Yeah,
but
maybe 15.
If you want to interrupt, you need to sit on my lap. Otherwise, you need to be quiet, please.
Yep. I'm going to just leave it up with this. I basically had to drive my car up the long way, up a one-way street, and stop that close to going into the emergency room. Then the cops came running out to arrest me, shoot me, and then I just showed them my basketball kneecap, and they, like, one guy threw up, and the other guys grabbed a wheelchair and wheeled me in past the chaos, straight into the triage. This guy needs help.
Love the chaos when you walk in there. It
It's
was real fun doing the flu stuff.
unbelievable.
I took a refugee lady there with her little baby, and nobody wanted to help her until they saw me.
Right.
Anyway.
So, but that is the problem. Everyone doesn't get any help at all. Yeah, you can jump in there.
The Lego guy.
Yeah, get the Lego guy. And where, that's my last thing I want to talk to you about. How can we make the connection to the public, to the administrators, to the bureaucracies, to the folk who need the help, so it does, because these people don't realize how many people are really stressed and stretched out. I'd say 20 to 30,000 people.
The administrators are too.
Yes.
It's just a different level. So rather than paycheck to paycheck, or which is like a dream for some people to be able to live paycheck to paycheck, even have a paycheck.
Right.
It's just a different level of stress and chaos and hopelessness.
But if they could identify.
And that happens through relationships. We need people who are willing to have relationships and to have connection. And when you do that, it's not like a clean, tidy package.
Right.
It's going to be messy.
Right.
It's not always going to feel good. It's going to hurt a little bit. And that's how we learn and grow.
And that's what being a human, that's why we're here on this earth.
Yes.
That's why we're a Christian or a Jew or a Buddhist or any of that. Whatever it is, that's what it's about.
It's about connection and relationship, and that's what we lack.
Yep. Okay, I think 22 minutes and 38 seconds.
Bye.